Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi al-kareem. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. So, I want to talk to you today, fam, about how there's this new phrase going around that I found quite sad, but also quite alarming. And I think it's important for the Muslim community to kind of talk about this issue and see what we can do about it, right? Create some solutions. And sadly, the phrase was no wife equals free men. And what they meant by free is they're no longer being boggled down by a woman. It's a very negative way of looking at marriage, relationships, and family. What I found quite strange is that this is a very nihilistic, depressing way to look at life on this earth. You only have a short time here. Nights can get lonely. The days can get very long. To willingly just go your own way and not try to pursue women because you fear bad women is not really helping, but actually helping Shaitan to corrupt your mind and lead you down a very lonely path. Your friends cannot replace the position usually that your children bring. And it's unfair to be so needy and clingy upon your friends, especially if your friends have paired up, they have their own lives. And if you're constantly hovering like a fly around their family, it does look quite bizarre. And one could argue, sure, you don't have the same responsibilities. You can, if you're not Muslim, you can do a bunch of bad things. But if you are Muslim, I would say that it's going to be quite difficult for you to avoid chronic masturbation, pornography, adultery. I mean, not adultery, but fornication, right? Zina. And you're going to develop very strange, weird habits that are actually going to solidify you in your loneliness and mental illness and will make you more unattractive to women. What these young men frame free men as is they imagine a sort of entrepreneur, a sort of go-getter who doesn't need women and he just is stepping on the backs of women and pushing their faces out as he walks down and just has piles of cash raining upon his head, or he's some sort of mountain man who has broken free from the flesh desire. I've only seen this in celibate priests, and even they truly struggle. And one could argue, how can you truly know the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you have no children? And if you're going to dedicate yourself to the Maker, then you would be a scholar full time. It's different if you had a woman and she passed away and your heart was hurt and you decided to honor her by waiting until you reunite, maybe after death. That's something kind of noble, but indeed still lonely. So the free men comes into a very unique bracket here for us. You have some who view it as never get married, get a high rate of women, play around, never have any responsibility or accountability, which just spreads STDs and abortion, which is not manhood, but actually running away and being a coward from leveling up and being more mature and helpful to society by reproducing and increasing the population so that there's enough for replacement. And on the flip side, again, what does it mean to be free? You actually become a slave to lust, desire, and money cannot replace love. You can work all day and say you never need women, and then when you do want a woman, you simply pay her. But that's still very lonely, and your looks as a man can last into your 50s. I've seen some handsome 50-year-old men. They're very in shape, take good care of themselves. But there will be a time when you're walking with a walker. You will be sitting in that old folks' home, retired. Who's you going to talk to? Might be other people in the old folks' home, but there isn't the blood bond. There really is something truly special about the blood bond between a person and their family. And it takes a really good man to work on his family and not give up, not lose hope, and not fall into despair. You're more manly, I'd argue, if you don't give up on women and become a very strange person who thinks that all women are bad, and that not being a husband is somehow some sort of badge of freedom. This is quite sad, the way in which America has allowed the view of marriage to be mocked so heavily. It's really fascinating to see how the occultists have used Hollywood as a weapon to make marriage seem horrible and to provide the youth with no good examples, and then to push OnlyFans and degeneracy upon women so that they don't even get proper suitors, and it makes the young men nihilistic. I'm noticing how the feminists are producing these men who want to go their own way and who think avoiding those women at all costs is somehow freedom. And then they lose hope for all the good women, and the good women are being tempted by the bad women into doing a lifestyle that perpetuates pain in the young men, and we should care about that. We should care about the young men in our society because we need them. If all the men give up on pursuing women, we're going to be in some big trouble. Who's going to have the energy to defend us and have the vigor and strength? A good wife gives good food and good intimacy and support and love to her spouse. But if all the young men have given up and we have beautiful women waiting for a suitor, no good man arrives because he's fallen into despair, and all that's left is pimps, we're going to have some big problems. We're going to have more abortions. We're going to have more mentally ill women who've gone insane from medication and endless hookups. We're going to have a very weird society. So I really hope the young men don't think that all women are a lost cause. One day, there might be a better social media company, unlike Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, who promote pornography but then won't let you have political conversations. They're pro-hedonism. They want you to be this kind of cucked male who's a simp, who's weak. But then the flip side is that sometimes their algorithms are turning these young men into people who now are fully rejecting women altogether, or only seeing them as holes and nothing more. So I think we women should really start to wake up. We have to intellectually go at these feminists and realize that they are leading to the devaluing of our men, to their decaying mental health, and to the dysfunction of society that is making it harder for us to stabilize and repair all the debauchery that is occurring within our country. For a young man to say no wife equals free men, this is a heartbreaking thing. And if you don't think that, I think you're a monster. It's so sad. He should be happy to try to pursue a good woman. And it's so hard for these young men in these public high schools because they see these nasty girls, these chicks who've probably already gone into the triple digits of body count, and they think there's no hope. And these atheistic girls and these wannabe witches and these occultist chicks just doing the most lewd things, and then having how do you put it? Like, there's like the good girls are being homeschooled, they're in rural areas, protected from the bad role models in the public schools. Well, there's a couple good men in the public schools, and they're looking at these more trashy girls who are Cardi B clones, Nicki Minaj clones, and they're starting to think this is a nightmare, and they're clocking out. And this is quite sad. This is why Islam has the answer to how women should behave and how men should want to get married young as soon as possible, and that why polygamy should be allowed. It is a quite telling time for these young men to think in the past men would push and shove and compete for the woman's affection, winning her as a sort of prize. It's now thinking that rejecting women, leaving them to their cats, is going to help them and society. It is quite sad. It is quite sad. I really truly hope that we women can wake up and realize the young men are hurting, and we should definitely care. Definitely we need to care about them. These are our brothers, these are our sons, these are people whom we care about. And they're starting to be turned against women because of feminism. It is quite sad.